Okay, so welcome to another deep dive, where we really get into the stuff you've sent us and see what we can uncover.
Yeah, love to dig in.
I'm really intrigued by this one.
Yeah.
So today we're looking at your notes from this untitled document.pdf.
Okay.
And it's really cool how they kind of like pulled out the core ideas from The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel.
Yeah, that's a great book.
Oh, it's so good. And I was just like, okay, I know exactly where we need to go with this because, one of the things that it hits you right between the eyes
Yeah.
is this question, like, why is it that some people, who don't make a ton of money end up, pretty wealthy when they retire,
Right.
and then others who are making bank end up broke?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I think it's almost counterintuitive,
Yeah,
right? Like you think,
you would think.
yeah, you would think, oh, if I just had more money, all my problems would be solved.
Exactly.
And it's clearly not that simple.
No, it's not. And that's why I think this is so fascinating, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It really throws a wrench in our assumptions about how money works.
I think what's really cool about Housel's take on all of this too is that it's not just about, understand the stock market and, the
Yeah.
mechanics of investing. It really is about our behavior
Yes.
and the psychology around money.
And this document really emphasizes that. And I think that's why I found it so interesting, too, because it's like, it's really calling out that this isn't just about learning, the ABCs of finance.
Right.
We're going way deeper today.
Totally. Yeah, we're going to go deep on behavior.
This is about the behavior, the psychology of building wealth.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it.
Okay.
First big idea
Yeah.
that hit me between the eyes was this idea that it's not actually about how much you earn.
Right.
Like how much money you bring in isn't the key thing.
Yeah, it's so interesting that, we have that assumption.
It's so ingrained.
I know, so
But
ingrained.
this is like turning it upside down.
Yeah, it's completely. Yeah, and the document makes a really good point about the fact that, like, high income does not guarantee wealth at all.
No.
I mean, think about it. We've all heard these stories about, like, lottery winners, right?
Right.
Who win all this money,
Right.
huge amounts of money,
Yeah.
and then, like, a few years later,
They're back where they started.
they're worse off often. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the classic example.
That's like a cliche, but it's true.
And then on the flip side, you have like, kind of quintessential story of like a janitor
Right.
who has been saving, diligently investing, maybe into just index funds
Yeah.
every month for years and years and years. And they end up retiring with like, millions of dollars.
It's the tortoise and the hare.
Totally.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And it just goes to show like it's not about how much you're bringing in. It's about what you're doing with it.
What you do with it. And it really highlights that like saving consistently,
Yeah.
thinking long term when you invest.
Right.
And most importantly, I think resisting those impulses to just like splurge or make a rash decision.
Emotional decision.
Yeah, exactly.
The fear and greed.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think this is a really good moment for, our listeners to sort of ask themselves,
Yeah.
when you look at how you're managing your money, are you really focused on building wealth for the future?
Right.
Or are you more about like, showing off how much you make right now?
Yeah. Or just enjoying every dollar that comes in.
Yes, exactly.
Like living paycheck to paycheck, essentially.
Yeah. So let's move on because this next point I found so interesting.
Okay.
So the document talks about saving even when you don't have a specific goal in mind.
Oh, this is a great one.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It's like we think about saving, okay, I need to save for a down payment on a house. I need to save for
A new car.
vacation, all these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But this is saying like no saving is so much bigger than that.
It is, yeah.
It's about having that cushion, that
Yeah.
flexibility. Because life, it throws stuff at you.
It does.
You lose your job, you have a medical emergency.
Or a pandemic hits.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah,
Right. And then also, like, sometimes great opportunities pop up and you've got to be able to jump on them.
exactly.
And if you don't have that savings, you're stuck.
You've got to pass.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so cool about this idea of like optionality saving.
I love that term.
Isn't it great?
Like you're creating options for yourself.
Totally. And the document makes this interesting point that like it actually reduces stress.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
Like just knowing that you have that buffer
Yeah.
can like really help you make better decisions when you're faced with like an unexpected situation.
Totally. Yeah. It's like it's a psychological safety net
Yes.
as much as a financial one.
Absolutely.
And so the big idea here is that we need to think differently about saving.
Yeah.
It's not just for a goal, like it's for having that resilience and that freedom to adapt.
To face the unknown.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what they say here that I think is so practical?
Automate your savings.
Yes.
Like, just set it up so that it happens automatically.
Every month.
Every month, yeah. Even if it's just 10% to start.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it.
You don't even miss it.
You don't miss it. And over time, it just builds up.
Totally.
Which actually leads perfectly into the next big idea.
Okay.
Compounding.
The magic of compounding.
Now, this one I think sometimes it's hard to wrap your head around.
It is, yeah. It can feel a little abstract.
It's like, what does this really mean?
But when you get it,
it's huge.
It's so powerful. Yeah.
So basically, time is more important than how much you invest initially.
Yeah.
Because of compounding.
That's right.
And they talk about Warren Buffett.
Of course.
The Oracle of Omaha, get this, 90% of his wealth
I know.
was made after he turned 60.
Isn't that wild?
It's wild. It's all compound.
Just goes to show you just keep investing consistently and time will take care of the rest.
It's not about getting rich quick.
No.
It's about the slow and steady. And they use this great analogy of like a snowball rolling down a hill.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
It starts small.
Yeah.
But the more it rolls, the bigger it gets.
And faster and faster.
Faster and faster.
Yeah.
So the point is,
Start early.
Start early as you can.
Even if it's a small amount.
Exactly. Even if it's just a little bit.
Consistency is key.
Consistency is key.
Yeah.
And I love how they say, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Right.
The second best time is now.
Now.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. Yeah.
And they suggest starting with a systematic investment plan.
Oh, yeah. Those are great.
Or just investing in a mutual fund.
Yeah. Those are really accessible for people.
Doesn't have to be complicated.
No, keep it simple.
Yeah. So we've talked about compounding, but then this next point is so important to remember.
Okay.
And that's the idea of luck.
Luck versus risk.
Versus risk, yeah. Because we often think that, success in finance is all about skill and hard work.
Right. Making the right moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they make this really important point that luck plays a huge role.
It does. It does.
Good luck and bad luck.
Both.
And they use Bill Gates as an example.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Obviously brilliant guy.
Yeah.
Driven.
Good gurking.
But he also had this incredible stroke of luck.
He did.
Like he had access to a computer.
At his high school.
At his high school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Back when that was like unheard of.
I know. Can you imagine?
It's crazy. And
Yeah.
so, it's not to take away from his achievements.
Right.
But it's just to acknowledge that luck was a factor.
It's a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. And so the key takeaway here is be careful about like blindly copying someone else's strategy.
Right.
Because you don't know how much luck played into their success.
And their risk tolerance might be completely different from yours.
Exactly. And you've got to manage your own risk.
Yeah.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Diversification is key.
Diversify.
Spread that risk.
Yes. And this actually leads perfectly into the next point, which is the idea of enough.
Well, this is a big one.
Isn't it? It's like in a world where we're constantly told we need more.
More.
More. This is saying like, wait a minute.
What is enough?
Define what enough is for you.
Yeah.
Because this idea of constantly wanting more,
it can actually backfire.
It can lead to making really bad decisions.
The risky decisions, impulsive decisions.
Yeah. Driven by greed.
Yeah. We've all heard those stories about people who had it all.
And lost it all. Because they just kept wanting more.
Yeah. Just a little bit more.
It's a cautionary tale.
It is.
So the big idea here is really spend some time.
Yeah.
And think about what enough means to you.
For you.
Because true wealth isn't about the biggest number in your bank account.
Right.
It's about that feeling of contentment and security.
See.
And so what they say in this document is figure out your enough number.
I love that.
It's such a good concept. Like, what's the number that would make you feel truly secure and content?
Yeah.
And then this next point is so interesting because it's kind of like a mind trick.
Yeah.
It's the idea that wealth is what you don't see.
Oh, this is a good one.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Because we often think about, like that person's rich. They have the fancy car.
The big house.
The big house. The designer clothes.
Right.
But that's not really what wealth is about.
It's not about the outward appearances.
No. It's about what's underneath.
The foundation.
Yeah. And they give this example of someone driving a brand new expensive car.
Yeah.
They might not be wealthy at all.
They might be in debt up to their eyeballs.
Totally.
Just to keep up with appearances.
Yeah. So the real point here is that building wealth is often about what you choose not to spend.
Yes.
It's about that delayed gratification.
Yeah.
And the slow and steady accumulation.
Of
of
assets.
assets. Yeah. And so the question that they suggest you ask yourself, which I think is so brilliant, is, can I afford this?
Yes.
Yes, but should I?
Should I?
It's so simple, but so powerful
It is
because it makes you really think.
about the long-term consequences
Exactly.
of your spending.
And then this final point,
Okay.
we've been talking about money, 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 but this one's about time.
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 The ultimate wealth.
The ultimate wealth. Because, true wealth isn't just about having a lot of money.
It's about freedom.
It's about freedom.
Yeah.
And they point out that, a lot of really wealthy people,
Yeah.
they prioritize their time
Over stuff.
over stuff.
Yeah.
They'd rather have control over their schedule
Totally.
than, have another fancy car.
Yeah. They've realized that you can't buy back time.
You can't buy back time.
So it's really the most valuable asset.
So the big takeaway here is to focus on building financial independence.
Yes.
So that you can have more control over your time.
How you spend your days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a really practical step towards this is to build an emergency fund.
Oh, that's crucial.
It's crucial.
Yeah.
They say aim for 6 to 12 months of living expenses.
That gives you a huge buffer.
It's huge. It gives you so much breathing room.
Yeah.
So to kind of sum all this up,
Yeah.
what we've learned from these incredible notes
Yeah.
is that building wealth isn't about being a genius
Yeah.
or knowing all the fancy financial tricks.
It's not about outsmarting the market.
It's not about outsmarting the market. It's about mastering your own mind.
Yes. Your emotions.
Your emotions, yeah, making smart choices
With your money.
with your money and being patient.
Patience, patience, patience.
And the document ends with this quote that I think just sums it all up.
Okay.
The greatest money skill isn't knowing how to earn more, it's learning how to keep it.
That's so good.
It's so good. And so, for you listening, I think the challenge is to take one thing from this conversation,
One actionable step.
one actionable step,
Yeah.
and do it.
Today.
Today, maybe it's setting up that automatic savings.
Or analyzing your expenses.
Yeah, or figuring out your enough number.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, just take action.
Make it happen.
Yeah, and as you think about that, I want to leave you with one final question to ponder.
Okay.
What if, instead of just trying to earn more money, you focused on changing your mindset
Yeah.
and your habits around money?
Your behavior
Yeah, because maybe that's the real key
to building wealth.
to building lasting wealth.
Absolutely.
Something to think about.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Yeah, this is a good one.
This was great.